So a certain person that shall remain nameless was put on blast. I think that's the best way that I know how to say it. Put on blast in front of the courtroom with coverage of this, calling it, quote unquote, one of the more heated exchanges in the legal saga. And yeah, you've seen some of those legal exchanges. They've been quite amazing. This is huge, too, not only because of the decision involved, but because of the person making the decision. This is a brand new judge on the case. I'll explain that in just a moment. Their first decision ever. And yeah, like I said, it puts that certain nameless person on blast. See, like I've been saying for quite some time now, the game that certain nameless person is playing is not one of dropping truth bombs. It's not turning over evidence. It's delaying and delaying and delaying. Those delay tactics, however, they seem to be coming to an end, and in a spectacular fashion. You and I, we're going to talk about this stuff. Man, fun times, huh? Fun times indeed. So hey there to all you fine folks on this fine day. And if you would, before we get started, share this video far and wide because, man, this stuff is golden. Also, make sure to feed that pesky algorithm. Of course, it likes comments and likes. But if you would, take it on a nice long stroll on the beach, wine and dine it. Man, it's friendly afterwards. If you're subscribed to the channel, make sure you're still subscribed. And if you hadn't, no pressure, but man, shiny buttons. So like I was saying at the beginning of this, you have a full press war of words break out with the courtroom. You can see this talked about here. It produced one of the more heated exchanges of the legal saga. You have a brand new judge that is overhearing this, and they hear some crazy things. Now, to understand this, though, we need to go back and really talk about what's going on here, because this stuff, it is crazy, and it's been crazy for months. So first thing, for people who don't know what's going on, and for people who do, really, because the mainstream media, they won't tell you anything at all. That's why this stuff is important here. But you have a trial upcoming in Virginia, was supposed to happen April 2021. It was moved to May 2022, and that's been a good thing. Why? Well, you can see the paragraph here. This is from a fourth request. Count them. 4 requests for information from a certain person that shall remain nameless. They haven't turned over any documentation whatsoever. I'm just going to read this little part here. There's a lot more to it, too. In response to JD's 4th request for documentation, that nameless person has taken positions that are entirely indefensible in an improper attempt to stonewall basic discovery. For instance, that nameless person asserted blanket objections to requests that merely asked for communications regarding her own claims to have been, you know those claims, by the way, by JD, the central issue in the case. The deficiencies in that nameless person's responses include the following. That nameless person asserted blanket objections to clearly appropriate requests, included improper limiting language that would drastically and impermissibly narrow the scope of any production, and has produced no documents. I think that's the kicker in this, number 3, no documents whatsoever. See, JD's team, they're asking for evidence. They want the judge to say, hey, in no uncertain terms, you need to turn over things. And a nameless person, they do need to do that. But instead of turning over anything, they file this, an amended answer and grounds on defense. Now, I can go over this in a live stream if you'd like. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that. But essentially, what this does is categorically deny almost everything without providing any evidence. That's the key there. You know, you lost money, provide evidence. You know, there were damages, you lost jobs, provide evidence. You know that? That's what people have been asking for all along. Now, fascinatingly, the judge, they agree with this too, and this is a huge thing considering this is a brand new judge on the case. With the extension, you had one judge basically time out. You have another judge that's added to the case. You don't know how they're going to be? Well, this is one of the first things that they have to say. Now, the Courthouse News, they report on this too, and oh man, not only is the argument and the aftermath interesting, but what they're saying it needs to be turned over. That's fascinating too. So JD's lawsuit accusing, you know exactly who that is, by the way, so we don't need to name them, of defamation enters its 3rd year in court. That's crazy too, isn't it? Takes 3 years just to get somebody to turn over basic information, but with a ruling that an actress must turn over drafts of an editorial she published in the Washington Post. Fairfax County Circuit Court Chief Justice Penny S. I'll mess up her name, so I'm just going to use A right now until I get it right. Female judge, by the way, brand new judge. I've always heard female judges don't like it when certain people try to weaponize false accusations, but they ruled from the bench Friday that certain nameless person must also turn over certain communications with partners and associates, along with a passel of other documents relating to the claims that she was, and you know exactly what those claims are. Now that's fascinating too, because we're talking about communications with the ACLU, with other people too, you know, friends, associates, and on. Yeah, that stuff they've been holding on to like a dirty little secret. Now the reason that this is important is twofold. You're talking about liability first and foremost, with that nameless person saying, hey, I didn't do all of this stuff on my own. And number two, you're talking about whether or not somebody can be trusted. You know, the impeachability of their character. With that nameless person, if they're lying about this, ooh, yeah, that wouldn't be good at all. So the drafts of the editorial would reveal the writing process of the piece published in the Post December 18, 2018. You know, it was claimed in it, so I'm not going to read that stuff there. But the reason that this has been filed in Virginia is because the newspaper, it was printed there. Now, she wrote the editorial, quote unquote, with the assistance and advice of others, according to her court filings. She didn't pin the headline, she said, which read, "The nameless person," I redacted her name, "I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. This has to change." Now, all of this leads to not only enough spice that you would think that you're on Arrakis Dune references, but no, it also puts that nameless person on the defensive. That's where they need to be, by the way. They need to be on the defensive always. You can see them list this here. It produces one of the more heated exchanges in the legal saga. JD's attorney comes up. He says, hey, other than that nameless person, JD has never been accused by a single woman of raising a finger to them. On the flip side of that, if you look at that nameless person, they say, back in 2009, it wasn't the nameless person's partner that brought up charges. It was the police that brought up charges, and those weren't dropped because of somebody out there wanting to drop them. They were dropped because of technicality. Not only that, but they dropped this bomb on a brand new judge, talking about the donations, talking about lying about $7 million being given away, saying that was false. That was perjury. And you can see the other side, the way that they try to counter all of this. They say, no, that's not it. They're just trying to get in your head, Your Honor. Yeah, well, I think that they're probably doing a good job of it, too. And it's going to be fascinating to watch this play out. So let me know what you think about that. And as always, I appreciate the heck out of you. You make this stuff work. I mean that sincerely, too. I can't say that enough. If you want to help out the platform more, there are links in the description. We can always use your help. I appreciate the heck out of that as well. But you being here, that matters. So sincerely, thank you. I do appreciate you. Again, spreading this stuff out too, that is a massive help. Thanks for that, subscribing and on. But yeah, you being here, you watching, thank you. I appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.